one.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Capes Cast podcast. It's your host, I'm Jeremy,
I'm Ryan.
and we're gonna do something a little different this week. We were gone last week. I was on vacation, and that's
I was
just
having car
there you
issues
go.
and dealing
So
with
yeah,
that.
it was just too much going on, and we decided to skip a week. But while we were gone, we got the pretty saddening news that Akira Toriyama had passed away.
Yeah.
So that is what this episode will be focused on today. Is our relationship with his works, like what our favorite characters might have been, or arcs, or games, or anything that he might have had a hand in making that had like his stamp on.
Right.
What we're going to be talking about today. If we have enough time, we might get to like Ultimate X-Men, the end, just
Yeah,
to
there
kind of
wasn't too
keep
much to
with
talk
the
about there
manga
anyway.
theme.
But
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of books that I mean, there's a couple indie books that I thought were really good, but I don't know. I don't think you read them. So
no,
both read Ultimate X-Men. So if we have time, we'll get to that. But
for sure.
Um, yeah, man, I'll let you start. So, like, when was the first time that you encountered Toriyama? I guess probably Dragon Ball.
I was 10 years old, man. I had just got into Pokemon, and I remember going into school and everybody was talking about what happened. I was in 5th grade and everybody was talking about what was happening on Dragon Ball Z, and I was asking, what is that? And they were just like, you got to watch it. It's on Cartoon Network at 5 o'clock. Come home from school, watch it.
Yeah, man.
And that became like my mantra. I would come home and I would do my homework as quick as I could so that by 5 o'clock I could just sit there and watch Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
And those half an hour episodes went by so fast. But it
yeah,
was
man.
like I was so stoked. And then from there, it kind of just went to while I was watching Dragon Ball Z, I would wait like an hour because then it would show Dragon Ball. So then I
Yeah,
started just watching it from the beginning and
yeah.
and ever since then, dude, like I've never loved an anime,
I know.
the way I've loved, like the way I was obsessed with Dragon Ball,
Yeah,
the way it was just like everybody wanted to come home and just talk, or I mean, come to school and talk about it. And
yeah, yeah. It was.
it was what a time, dude. It was a magical time, because it's not, I feel like today, like that's kind of gone, everything's on the internet, but it was a
Yeah, like
special
that.
time
There
to just
wasn't like
come.
the anticipation of going to see your friends and be like, "Hey, man, did you watch it?" Or like not getting to talk about it because a couple of them didn't get to watch it.
Yeah,
You got to wait
exactly.
till they leave, and then you're like, "Oh man!" Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
I miss
awesome.
those days, man.
It was so cool. And then on top of that, just being stoked to like talk about what's happening next time on Dragon Ball Z, and
Yeah,
about pretty much what's going to happen. Then not even that, it was fun to even talk to the friends that knew about stuff that was happening in the future, and then they'd like tell you about it, be like, oh, this is going to happen in the future, this is cool.
yeah,
And it was just like, I couldn't have enough. Like I just wanted
yeah.
more and more and more.
And what used to get me, man, is like when we would watch it and it would be like the same chunk of episodes, like again and again.
Yep.
Because we'd have to wait until they would release them over here.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, dude, I've probably seen this like Jice fight like 8 times.
Yeah, because you always pretty much knew that you were like, are we gonna continue? Because it would go like past the Frieza arc, and you're like, all right, if it goes to Raditz again, damn it. But if it
Yeah,
goes,
yeah. And it's always like rolling the dice because you never really knew.
yeah. But then it was like cool because around that time, you got to talk to everybody who, because at that time there was like Suncoast, those like video game, I mean not video game, but like video tape like places where they sold like cassettes, like video
Yeah.
cassettes. And they would sell like the Japanese like cassettes there, and I had friends that had them, and this was when before like they didn't even have subtitles on them.
Yeah, it was just straight up like the
Yeah,
original.
so I would find out what their interpretation of was watching it, and then coming back to
So
tell me
yeah,
about it.
they have like no idea what they're saying. It's just them
Right.
like having to like figure out just based off what they're watching. That's funny.
And then
And
even I
kids, you're
even
like,
got
I don't
so
know.
into Dragon Ball, dude, that I wanted more and more, that in the mornings before school I
Yeah,
would put on the Spanish channel and it would just be there in Spanish, and I would just watch those, like, I just wanted more. And those Spanish ones, dude, they were like in the Majin Buu arc. So you had little Trunks and little Goten, which is what we didn't have yet.
yeah,
So it was dope to kind of just, I don't know. It was like I didn't care. I just
yeah. You just
wanted
wanted to
to
watch it.
see
Yeah,
more Dragon
consume as
Ball.
much of it. Like, I remember, like, dude, I remember playing, like, the games, like,
Yeah.
a bunch of them, like, the Game Boy Advance ones. Do you remember those?
Oh, those Legacy of Goku games?
Yes, yes. Those were so fun, man. Dude,
Yeah.
and then when Budokai and, like, Tenkaichi and all those started to come out, I remember that was, like I think that might have been, like, the height of, like, my hype for Dragon Ball was when those games started coming out,
Yeah.
because it was like, now I can just, like, play with my friends and beat them up as Vegeta, like, or all the other characters that I wanna play, like, dude, I remember having, like, Budokai Tenkaichi 2, and I played that game till it stopped working.
Oh,
Like,
damn.
the disc stopped working, that's how much I played it.
See, I'm a little older, so I went to like Budokai and Budokai 2. And once the Tenkaichi series came out,
Yeah.
I was lost. I was like, I don't know what the
Yeah,
hell.
like, I mean, I remember when Budokai 1 and 2 came out, and they were fine, but, like, Tenkaichi just had 'cause it I don't know, the combat I felt was better because it wasn't the 2D, you know?
Right.
It was the 3D, like, the 3D arena. So
Hmm.
that was like man, that was, like, prime time for me, dude, like,
Yeah.
I
And I always say it to this day, like only Dragon Ball fans would be the only ones that are cool with playing the same story like 14 times every time a new game comes out.
seriously, yeah, and yeah, exactly, that's why I'll never forget, like, the story of Dragon Ball Z because I've played it so many times, and I've watched it so many times.
Did it go in that game? Did it go to like the Cell arc or did it go to the boot?
And no, it went all the way through GT.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's
and
cool, man.
even I'm pretty sure it had movie arcs too.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was tight, man, like and it was like and they were epic battles, like, the entire environment was destructible, so, like, the entire arena that you fought in, you could destroy.
Oh, damn.
Like, do you remember like, and I'm sure you may have played, like, the Naruto, like, the Ultimate Ninja Storm?
No, I never got into Naruto.
Okay.
Never.
So, like, maybe you've seen gameplay of that, but it's, like, the round environments, like and
Mhm.
I think Tenkaichi's probably kinda what for a lot of those, like, anime, manga games, kind of, I think, stem from, like, Tenkaichi because of that, like, destructible environment, and it's the 3D fighter, and it's yeah, dude, it was badass, man. I remember playing with my brother, like, putting his, like, max health so we could, like, play as long as we could in a match. We had, like, unlimited ki, like, it was just, like we were just having fun, man. We
Yeah.
didn't care who won or lost, we just wanted to play the characters and have these, like, epic what if battles of, like, who like, if these 2 characters got to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, man. That was, like, the best time.
That's awesome. But that was your entryway into it?
Well, no, like, I mean, I watched Dragon Ball growing up, like, on Toonami and, like, on Cartoon, just on I never went so far as to, like, seek out the other channels, like, the Spanish
Hmm.
channels to look for that, but I read a little bit of the manga when I was probably, like, in junior high, maybe,
Okay.
but, like, I don't know, and it was always there, and I always liked it, but I don't think it was till I started playing the games is when I was kinda, like, in it,
Right.
and, like,
And to this
that's what
day,
it
that's
taught
the
me.
only manga I follow to this day, you know?
Yeah,
It's just I never really cared to get anything else because nothing really grabbed me. No other anime or anything grabbed me the way that like Dragon Ball just sucked me in when I was a
yeah,
kid. Same with
yeah.
Pokemon. I would say Pokemon, and if you want to count that as an anime, but I ditched Pokemon way quicker into it than I ditched, Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I still, like, maintain an interest in Dragon Ball stuff, for the
Right.
most part, but, like, Pokemon, I'm checked out, dude, so it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree, there's nothing quite like Dragon Ball, like, it has such an influence in everything, you know what I
Everything.
mean? Like,
Whether
in
that's video
TV, in
games,
movies,
comic
in
books.
video games, in comic books, like, in every form of media, it has an influence in or it's referenced somewhere, like and it could be something as random as, like, an episode of Law& and Order, you know? And
Right.
you'll hear a Dragon Ball reference, or you'll see somebody wearing a shirt as an extra in the background.
Right.
Like, it's everywhere, it's inescapable, and it's to the point where other countries treat it like like the Super Bowl when it's the
Yeah.
end of big, like or movies or big arcs, like, it's wild, man.
Yeah. It's crazy to just see like the effect, and that's the one thing I knew once we got this news. I was like, the whole world's gonna be feeling this. Like, it's not,
Yeah, yeah,
like it hurt when Stan Lee died, of course, but like
yeah.
Stan Lee took a lot of credit for things he shouldn't have, and stuff
Yeah,
like that. But when you get
and
to
I
a
don't know that
Toriyama,
Stan
it's
Lee
like Toriyama created this
right.
swirl of like, we wouldn't have half of the anime that we have right now if it wasn't for Toriyama.
I mean, most of the I would say I would even go so far as to say a lot of the artists that work in the stuff that we enjoy, like comics or video games or, animated stuff, like, they wouldn't be artists if it weren't for Dragon Ball, because how many times in the last week have we seen, like, artists that we both follow or just even artists that we don't follow that we just catch their posts of their inspiration from Toriyama and how they said that they wouldn't be an artist today if it weren't for him, you know?
Yeah, I saw a lot of touching stuff from like Jorge Jimenez. I saw Dan Mora's tribute,
Yeah.
I saw
I mean, like, I like and I'm not an artist in any respect, like, I draw we all drew for fun as kids, but, like, a lot of the stuff I had that was also another thing, I had a bunch of those, like, how to draw Dragon Ball Z books.
right.
Like, I had so many of those, and I remember, like, just giving up because I couldn't figure it out, and I would just trace them, and it was
Yeah.
just fun, and I put them up on my wall, like, coloring like, you know what I mean? Like, it inspired all of us, I think, like, it gave us, like, a sense of, like, "Oh, yeah, like, I we could all do that, like, that's cool, man."
Right. Yeah, I mean, because
Like
look how many people like the whole Superman versus Goku thing. Like Goku is
yeah,
a lot of people's Superman. Like that
yeah,
is, and culturally you get into that. Like, yeah, that's like the only person that's up there culturally with Superman that could.
yeah, definitely.
And not even that, dude. Like, it's just insane that it's over. Like we almost took for granted
Yeah,
all the stories that we were getting from Toriyama, and
yeah,
it's really like sad to think about. But I know that he had a bunch of stuff already written to be
yeah,
released. So, but let's not even stop there. I mean, Dragon Ball wasn't his only. We
yeah,
got Chrono
exactly.
Trigger, man. We got which in my opinion is
Oh,
top
dude,
three best games ever made.
yeah, I mean, it's easily in my top 10 games I've ever played, like and and Dragon Quest games are up there too, like, he and it was yeah, like you said, it wasn't just manga or anime that he had, like, a heavy hand in, like, he had a passion for I think, for all things for all like, all creative things, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, he was a
Like
creator through and through.
yeah, like, exactly, so, like, to see him like, to see, like, literally a legend gone,
Yeah,
man, it sucks, like,
yeah,
it's a heavy hit, man.
it is. I
But
mean,
it
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 it it good. Sorry.
it's just bummy for me. Like, wait, he was 68, man.
Yeah,
Which
he
is
wasn't
not
that old.
that's not elderly or too old.
Right.
But he even came out and said it was due to his behaviors and his bad decisions when he was younger, constantly
Yeah.
smoking, never working out, and so it was like I believe it was like a tumor that came out that he had. He had a tumor in his brain.
Dang.
So yeah, so that it sucks, man. Especially if he even came out. I think he knew because when he
Yeah.
said like my health isn't in the best because of my decisions. I think he knew. He already knew.
Yeah.
So that sucks to see, to not just know that he's gone, but to know that he knew that he would be gone. And
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's like that I feel like that's like a common thing with, like, manga writers are, like, they're very private, you know?
yeah, oh yeah,
Like, um, like, shoot, man, like, Kentaro Miura, the creator of Berserk. Like, when he passed away a couple years back, like, it was he's, like, he was such a secretive I mean, maybe secretive is not the right word, but he was such, like, a personal, private person,
right.
like and I feel like a lot of them are that way because they're just so, like, head down, like, nose to the grindstone, like, just work, 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 work,
Because you
because
gotta
it's
understand,
that's the only thing they have a
Toriyama was doing a manga every week,
yeah, like,
manga
like,
volume.
it's just passion, it's just pure passion for what they do. So, like, when we get any kind of news about them, like, whether they're sick or they're not feeling well, like, we're just like,
Yeah,
like, time stops, man, because, like, we don't know if this is the end, like and it's weird, man, because, like, these are people that I've never met or, like, probably could have never met in my life. But, like, to lose them, it's like, man, it's like losing, like, somebody you know, you know?
right. Because I mean, look at like all the friendships we made just from the common interest of Dragon Ball, just
Yeah,
talking Dragon Ball growing up.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's so many like of my great friendships like had that foundation of we watched Dragon Ball and we got close
Yeah,
because of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard, especially, because you can't really say besides like someone like a Stan Lee, that there's like a creation that just brought you so close with somebody.
Yeah.
And it just,
Yeah.
I think about it and I talk to my friends that I grew up with over Facebook, and I'm like, damn, man, like
Yeah.
we're never gonna get that again. And even though we're 30 in our 30s now, it's been 20 plus years, it's still just like it sucks, man.
Yeah, it's so funny, man, because I feel like we're in a time where, like, the things that we grew up with are still happening, and they're still evolving, and they're still, like they still get us excited like when we were kids, you know?
Yeah,
So, it and I feel like generations before us have never had that, you know what I mean? Like, we have all these things that we have, like, emotional and personal attachments to,
right.
like, make us feel a certain way or get us excited, you know, and it's to, like to that to for the prospect of being of not getting that stuff anymore. It's like a huge bummer.
It
So,
is. But I
yeah,
mean, Toriyama had his, people around him to
yeah,
continue his legacy.
yeah,
The manga, I believe, he always said he put Toyotaro under his wing so that when he can't do the manga, Toyotaro will. And he was basically training him and basically
do
have Toyotaro do the manga, but he would edit it. So if there was
uh,
anything bad or maybe something looks wrong with, the way
or,
something's
like, didn't line up with, like, what he wanted in canon,
yeah, he would send it back and Toyotaro would redo it and he would give him notes like, hey, do this, you should do this isn't right, this isn't this character.
which I and, like, not to, like, divert attention from Toriyama, but, like, that's something Miura did too. Like,
Yeah,
and I feel like with more of them getting older and having passed away, like, over the last few years, I feel like that's gonna be a pretty common practice for manga writers is to, like, post, like a really close friend that they've worked with for a long time or, like, an understudy to, like, groom them into their successor so that they can basically continue that work as though they were still there, you know?
right. Well, with Toyotaro, it's almost like a fanboy's dream come true because
Yeah,
Toyotaro, he was just bored one day, wanted more Dragon Ball, and did the whole Dragon Ball AF series, like fan manga
yeah,
with Zycor. It took place after GT, and Toriyama saw that, and Toriyama was like, "I love this. I want
yeah.
to, So
I remember when those were coming out, man, like, that's
yeah,
so crazy.
it is." And it even got Toriyama's eye, and even he said that he was looking out for every next issue or never every next volume,
Yeah.
and so then he reached out to
'Cause
Toyotaro.
that was, like, Super Saiyan, like, 5 and all that
Yeah,
stuff, right? With, like, the
yeah,
white hair and the monkey tail. Yeah,
yeah,
I remember that stuff, and, like, the really, like, detailed, like, clothing.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
remember
even
that stuff.
Toriyama loved it. Like,
Yeah,
was just like, I'm gonna take you in, and you're gonna be my legacy now. And it was pretty sad. I saw like a tweet that Toyotaro posted, and he posted right after Toriyama passed, and he said, "I got into manga drawing to be praised by Toriyama Sensei. It meant everything to me." And it's
yeah.
like,
Well, like, and that's the other thing too is, like and it went further than just a lot of people having been inspired by him, you know? Like, so many artists and so many creators of any kind, like, even fans, like, had such a massive respect for him, you
oh yeah,
know? That, like, I haven't it hasn't gone a day since I found out the news that he passed away and it kind of broke. I haven't every single day I've seen somebody call him sensei or, like, like, address him with some kind of title that's just, like, in reverence. I
yeah,
mean, he really he's a pillar, man, and it sucks that he's gone.
yeah. I mean, because it's like everybody that's doing some type of media right now, pretty
Yeah,
much at this point, grew up on
yeah,
Toriyama.
yeah, yeah, I
And
mean, if you're I would say 40 or younger,
yeah,
you
that's what I'm
you
saying. People in their 30s, man, we're mourning. Like,
yeah,
like
dude.
late 20s, like early 30s, like we're all mourning, dude. Because
Yeah,
it sucks. I don't know. Like this is like a void that will never, like, it's just gone. Like it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
there's so many people
yeah,
who could continue Dragon Ball, but there's nobody that's gonna be the Toriyama. like the void now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it sucks, man. I mean, I guess, like, the one silver lining is, like, you know that the people that are going to be making anything Dragon Ball related now, or, like, continuing on any work that he might have started, like, you can almost, like, rest easy knowing that there are people that he hand selected
right,
and people that, like, will honor his legacy, like, more than anything else. So, like, at the end of the day, whether it's not to the same quality or whether it's not, like, what he might have done or what we wanted, at least they're doing it because they truly appreciated him as a person and they got to know him, like, and what's
right,
not something that they're just like, "Let's pawn it on to off to somebody else and
right.
let them run it,"
Yeah,
which I mean, and that just attests to the culture of, like, just manga culture, like, every single book I feel like that I seek that's popular is just, is just a passion project,
yeah,
like, there's, like, no corporate, "Do this character for this amount of time," like, kind of like and I hate to make the contrast to, like, American comics, but it's like it's there,
right,
like, the way that writers and or mangakas, whatever you wanna call them, like, the way that they treat, like, their craft over there is it's so different, man.
it is.
Like, it's crazy to me, like, it's just every single ounce of their, like, energy and love for for that for what they're doing is just in it.
Right. With comics, it's kind of like I'm gonna say what I want to about this character, pass them on to the next person. Say what I want to about
Yeah,
pass it on.
yeah.
But with you know, and I would say
Very, like,
sometimes it works
industrial
to its
compared to the
detriment.
manga. Yeah,
Yeah, sometimes I would say it works to its detriment, but when you have the same writer on the same book for so long, it's going to get to a point where it starts repeating something.
yeah,
And I think Super fell to some of that where we just started repeating stuff.
yeah,
But I'm still gonna be it's my childhood, man. So I'm
yeah,
gonna
man.
no matter what, I'm gonna still be following. But I do think that contrast between American comics, there's pros and cons to both,
Oh,
right?
oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
So it's a little different, but I do love the fact that Toriyama was like, "This is my baby. My baby's going here, manga
yeah,
wise, going to Toyotaro, and probably it's gonna stay anime wise to Toei. That's Toei's
yeah,
always had the say of what happens here. They
right,
basically Toriyama would make like bullet points of how the story would go, and Toei would take that, but then make their own ways of how to get to those bullet points. That's why
right,
the manga and the anime are so
right,
different, but they go to the same results in the end.
right, yeah, because it's just like they just get the outline
Right.
and they fill in the gaps, right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's why, in my opinion, the manga's always felt more pure because you had Toriyama telling Toyotaro basically what to do, and
Right.
and
And
which,
and
in
and I
my
mean, and
opinion, was
I
always
think
superior.
that's how it is with a lot of anime, that are adapted from manga.
Right.
Like, and I could, just name a few, like Naruto again. Like, there's so much filler content that's
Yeah.
anime only, or you
There's a
have
lot
like,
of filler stuff in Dragon Ball Z that
yeah,
to this
yeah,
day is considered non-canon that people think
right,
are canon. And it's
right. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's canon to the anime, if you want to consider it that, but like, not much else.
yeah, because I see so many people say, like, oh, Vegeta can breathe in space. He was in space in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, but that was before like they took their own liberties with that. Like we know now, Toriyama
right.
wrote it in Super, like Saiyans are powerless in space.
Yeah,
So that whole thing with Vegeta shooting that planet above, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that couldn't happen. That
It
was
was
just
just cool, man. It's the rule of cool there.
yeah. It
But
was
yeah, who would you say is your favorite Dragon Ball character?
I might have to go with Gohan. I think
Yeah,
Gohan. I think Gohan or Piccolo. It's gonna be one of those two.
I'm a Vegeta guy through and through, man.
I love Vegeta too. Don't get me wrong. I think Vegeta's probably had the best arc out of anybody.
Oh,
Like,
dude, yeah,
he's got the best redemption arc. But to me, I've always just felt like I think maybe it's the half human in Gohan and
yeah,
him. being Saiyan or something. But as a kid, I always felt like Gohan was, you
Oh,
know,
dude. Yeah, and Gohan was it, man. Like I remember the Cell Saga and the first time I saw like how that all played out. I was
yeah,
like, dude. I was like, they killed Goku. I was like, but hey, like at least we have like badass Gohan to like carry the torch.
yeah.
And then we just get blue balled.
Yeah, and if we find out that that's the reason behind that was Toriyama wanted to make Gohan like the main character, but then when he
Yeah.
got there, he was like, I don't know what to do here. Like it's not like
Yeah.
Goku who's just aloof and just he goes where the wind goes, you know. Like
Yeah.
Gohan's very
Which
set.
right. And I and maybe one day, maybe one day there will come a point where Gohan is the main character, and maybe that's something Toyotaro wants to do. I don't know. I have no
But I
idea.
just don't see. I feel like you would have to kind of turn Gohan into Goku because Gohan's such like a family man. He wants to be home. He wants to do
Right.
his studies.
And
He's
I
very
haven't
much
seen
like
I haven't
Toriyama.
seen Superhero, so I don't know how like what the end of that is, or like if Gohan's any different by the end of that, other than like the
He just got
power.
a new form. He just got a
Yeah,
new form. That's
yeah,
him and Piccolo got a new form. And that's
yeah. I
about
saw that Piccolo.
it.
Okay, I
And
mean, yeah, I guess that's true. Like when you kind of like dead end him like that and just make it so that he doesn't want to be the hero unless he absolutely has to be.
right, unless it's
But
something like the Tournament of Power happening, where it's like, okay, the
yeah,
universe is on the line. That
yeah,
affects me. And
yeah. Which is like,
superhero is all about basically Pan being kidnapped. So of course he's
yeah, of
like,
course, I got to
okay,
step in now. Yeah,
yeah. So and it's, but in
hey
the
man,
end, it was just pretty much like him and Piccolo were like, hey, we got new forms. And now in the manga, Goku felt wherever he's at, so many million miles away, he felt
yeah.
Gohan's power. He felt it. So now Goku has gone back to Earth to get Gohan and bring him back to Beerus's planet so they can train and fight.
Uh, so then there's no way that he's done yet.
I don't think he's done, but I let's be real. I
Yeah.
think it's just Goku looking at Gohan to be like, okay, that's the next place I got to get to, and so I kind of look at it more as like
Yeah, like it's like
something
Goku's
for
like, "Ooh,
Goku to
there's a new
achieve
power.
now.
Let's see it. Let's see if I can train with it." Kind of. Yeah, it's like always testing his own limits, I guess.
Yeah, and
All right.
and then he brings Goten and Trunks. They do the whole fat Gotenks gag.
And like honestly, like that okay, that's like my one complaint. Like it's anything like and I love all like pretty much all of Dragon Ball Z. My one and Super, I for the most part I love it all. But like I just want them to grow up, man.
they are Goten and Trunks are like grown up now. Like they're
Oh, okay.
tall. They're like grown up. Like you see that in Superhero. They're grown up and
Oh shoot. Oh,
but they're just
they're
dumb.
like high school age now?
Yeah, they're just dumb.
Okay.
They just
I mean, I guess that's true. Gohan was pretty small up until the Buu saga.
yeah, it
And then he
wasn't because he was
sprouted up.
like they call him Teen Gohan, but he wasn't actually a teenager. I think he was like 11 or 12 in that.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and then you think about it, Goku was just 12 in Dragon Ball. So you see that
yeah,
difference.
yeah, and yeah,
It's cool, man, because now we got Goten and Trunks, but it just seems like even like Vegeta like scoffs at them, like, you guys aren't training, you guys don't take anything seriously. Like,
yeah.
like they're the two now
That's
just
my guy, man. Vegeta don't mess around.
yeah,
I
pretty
love
much.
Vegeta, bro. He's just the best.
Yeah. And now pretty because last issue pretty much Goku was like, hey Gohan, I want to see you fight Goten and Trunks. So then they turn into fat Gotenks, and then it doesn't end up happening. And then basically Goku's like, all right, I'll step
I'll
in.
do it. Yeah,
So, but that's pretty much where it's at. And it's like I'm gonna still keep reading it just because
yeah. And it's should okay. So you'll probably say yes, do it anyway, and I probably will end up doing it. If I decide to read Super, should I pick up where the Tournament of Power left off, or just read everything?
I would say you could pick up where the Tournament of Power left off because
Okay,
even though I think the Tournament of Power did some things better, it still ends the same way. It still ends with
okay,
Frieza helping out Goku and 17 and the
yeah,
three of them.
okay,
It's
all
just in
right.
a very different way. It's in a very
Maybe I'll just read that fight in the manga and then
I
pick up.
think you actually have to because it goes in the same volume. It goes from the Tournament of Power to the Moral Arc.
Okay,
So it pretty much it's kind of confusing. What they did in that chapter was They ended the Tournament of Power. Then in between it, they give like one big image for Broly, and they say like, you know, a couple months from now, Goku and Vegeta go to a different planet, come across Broly, but that's a tale, you know, to be told from a different time. That was basically saying, hey, the movie's coming and it takes place here.
Yeah.
And then
So
basically,
Broly is canon now, correct?
yeah, it is canon for the anime and manga. Broly is
I
actually
thought
in
so. I
the
just wasn't sure.
manga as we speak. He's on Beerus's planet
Yeah,
with
okay.
Goku and
I
Vegeta.
remember you. I remember you telling me that they were
Yeah,
training together.
yeah, and Broly is even blown away. He's like, "Oh, Goku has a son, and he's this
Dang.
powerful," and you know. But so pretty much after that, then it goes right into the moral arc, and that's where it begins. And
Okay.
in my opinion, I think that's where like the series got its best. Was
It
that the
kind of
moral
feels
arc?
like old Dragon Ball Z
Oh
again.
yeah, like I'm talking like this was pretty much where Toriyama let Toyotaro just kind of go.
Like
Like he
cut
was like, you
loose.
know, this is going to be more your thing because I
Nice.
think Toriyama knew like this wasn't going to be adapted. So he was like, we'll just go with
Ah,
the Moro thing.
okay. Do you think at some point the rest of Super will get adapted?
I don't think so. I don't think so, which sucks. It
Man.
sucks. I don't see them going backwards in the
I mean,
anime.
okay. What if Daima is just like filler until
Well,
then?
they said that Daima takes place in between the Blue Arc and
Because I don't do you remember when Super ended
Mhm,
and they kept talking about how like obviously they said they're gonna do movies. But
mhm.
and I don't know, I would have to like dig and find the source, but like I could have swore it was like somebody pretty credible or like even like somebody that was involved with Super saying that the anime would return.
Yes. Yes. And I mean the anime is with Daima, but I don't know about Super. But
Right.
you got to understand also that Toei for the past like 4 years have been going all in with One Piece. So that's the reason
Yeah,
why they
that's true.
haven't really been juggling Dragon Ball.
Okay. So then do you think that okay, I feel like with how popular Super got and with how many of the concepts got really like I mean they're everywhere. Like it's in stuff like Fortnite, like Ultra Instinct, like all that it's everywhere.
Yeah.
There's I just don't see how they won't capitalize on that. And maybe it's in 5 years from now, you know, maybe it's in 10 years from now. Like
But you are right now that I think about it. I think they might have to do something with the moral arc because there is a vital piece of something that happens in it where that is needed. Where basically you find out that this is where Goku finds out that Oob is alive. So he even goes over where Oob is like being like raised. And you see Oob like doing like chores and stuff. And basically like the Kai is telling Goku like you wished him back and he's here and you're gonna have to take care of that. You're gonna have to train him basically.
yeah. So
And
so it kind of also does set the stage for end of Z and then GT kind of. But like
right. And it basically was Oob that saved the day at the end because there was a spirit bomb happening, and you find out that Oob, you remember how like in Kid Buu, like or in Majin Buu, he basically absorbed that like Daikaioshin, that
uh-huh.
first one. And basically so when that happened and they defused, all of that Daikaio's magic went to Kid Buu.
Okay. And that's
So
what I
now
thought.
Oob
That's
has
kind of
God
what I
Key
figured
because of
had
that.
happened.
Oob right now has God Key because of that.
Okay.
So that
Do
puts
you okay.
Oob.
Be that being said, with all the context that's that we've been given in like Super with the angels and all the gods, do you think that could set up Oop for being an angel for
If Goku's not going to be, if Goku's
that's
not going to
true.
be that paragon, you know, I don't think he's interested in being an angel or having a duty to make
That's what
sure
I
that.
mean. Like and that's kind of where I was headed with that because Goku doesn't seem like he's up for that responsibility other than like just being the strongest and having to save the day.
Right. So, I mean, maybe that could be the case where like
I
Goku's
don't
like,
know.
I don't want to be an angel, so I'll train the next one.
Yeah, like it's just, theory, I guess. We got a
Yeah.
couple minutes left if we want to talk about just like quickly about Ultimate X-Men.
Yeah, Ultimate X-Men began. Peach Momoko's doing her what would be Japan in this series, and
Yep.
we see that this very Junji Ito shadow being is cursed this girl's life, and people are committing suicide around her basically. And one of the gifts that this thing gives her is armor. Gives her
Yeah, it's like a
basically
little charm.
a little charm that basically goes, instead of being inside her, it basically is around her and basically defends her and puts her
I
like
the
armor.
one thing I do like is I like how it seems like kind of sentient.
Yeah,
You know, it'll be kind of an interesting dynamic. It, if people, I don't know, if people were expecting like just Peach Momoko's take on just traditional X-Men,
right.
this is not that book.
No, and I
Like,
kind of knew that if you read her Demon Days book,
right,
it's
right, and
very
I had read the
steeped
first couple of
into.
issues of that, and I already had a feeling it was going to go that route because I mean, she's the only creator in American comics I would consider, I would relate to a mangaka because of how she writes, how she draws, the way her
Yeah,
panel layouts are, the way like everything is structured in her book is
yeah,
very reminiscent of a manga. So it's
yeah.
like,
This is just a manga that's read in the American comic way, and
yeah,
that's
exactly, exactly. So like, and this is I would say if you're a manga fan and you don't really read that much comics, this is a really, really good entry point into American comics for someone like you.
yeah.
Like
And if you
because
love
it feels
X-Men,
very much the same.
because Maystorm's going to be
Yeah.
coming up, and
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that's about all the time that we've got,
yep,
but, rest in peace to one of the greats, Akira Toriyama,
yes, sir,
and, we will be back with Immortal Thor 7 and 8 this
yes,
next week.
sir.
Alrighty, guys, we'll catch you next time.
All right, later on, guys. Be
Later.
safe out there.